We're now at the end of November, and I would say autumn is really over, I think, here in Oxfordshire. I'm back in my local patch of woodland again. I've had quite a lot of trips down here, and if I'm honest, I was hoping for maybe doing something a little bit different today to the normal sort of woodland photography which I've been doing lately, mainly because I've been doing it such a lot. I've been trying to get down when there's good conditions, very frequently failing to get down when there's good conditions. This morning my plan was to head down to our local patch of river and maybe try and do a little bit of wildlife or macro photography. So the bag is feeling rather full this morning because it's got a lot of different lenses in it. But actually when I got down to the river, at that particular stretch which I was planning to photograph, they're doing some works down there at the moment, so I couldn't actually access the river bank. So I've changed my plan slightly, and I've come back to the woods. And a few of you are probably thinking, well, surely it was an obvious day to be going to the woods anyway, because look at this mist, it's absolutely stunning. So perfect conditions for photographing woodland. But as I said, we're now at the end of November, and there's we've certainly lost pretty much all of the leaves, I think, from the trees. There's still a few sort of oak leaves, I think, clinging on. So I don't know. I'm kind of I'm absolutely inspired by these conditions. There's a woodpecker there as well that's flying around. But I guess I'm not quite decided yet this morning which way my photography is going to go, because I've got lots of options. What I would really love to do is do some macro photography this morning, because I've got the full macro kit in the bag. So we'll see how we get on. But if nothing else, I'll probably get some nice misty autumn trees, or end of autumn trees anyway. So it's just a great morning to be out. Let's go and see how we get on. So of course I managed to forget to bring my umbrella with me today, which was a little bit of a mistake because it is actually raining. But I still think it's worth persevering. I've been getting the camera out, trying to keep it dry, trying to cover the lens and stop it getting too wet, because there's this scene here where there's just some of these leaves still clinging to the branches. I think this is probably going to be another one of those square crops which I like to take of leaves on trees and foliage. There's mist behind, so it's just creating a nice little bit of atmosphere, and then you've kind of just got this sort of silhouetted branches. I think it's a nice shot. I spent a little while here just sort of staring at it, trying to work out whether it's a shot or not, and trying to debate whether to get the camera wet. But yeah, I think it's probably worth it. So there's this absolutely lovely old oak here. It's just looking gorgeous in this mist. And it's not one I've photographed before in this short stretch of woodland, which, given how often I've come up and down this little bit of path here, and it's actually a really confined bit of woodland here which I visit. There's not much to it, at least there's not much public access, so there's only really a short stretch here that I find particularly photogenic. So there aren't that many of these trees here, so I guess this is just one of those trees which just hasn't worked in the conditions I've visited this woodland in previously, and this morning though it's just looking gorgeous. So I've gone for a portrait shot. What I'm not so keen on with this particular composition here is the amount of brush which is going on down in the lower part of the frame, so I might just try and cut that out and just focus on the old oak itself. But it's so atmospheric in this mist, and I love these old, ancient, gnarly oaks in conditions like this. So, absolutely gorgeous. Oh, and the rain has stopped now as well, which is making my life a lot easier. So I was really hoping that I'd have a chance to get the macro lens out this morning. So I've been keeping half an eye out for mushrooms as I've been walking up and down the path, and if I'm honest, there aren't really a huge number around, and it's probably a little bit late in the year as well. But this one fallen tree caught my eye because it had a couple of mushrooms on it, and then when I came closer I saw that it's actually covered in quite a lot of these fungi. So I've switched over to the macro lens, taking a few shots. It's actually working quite nicely with the light. I did actually have a bit of an experiment with the flash, but it wasn't really working, so I don't really think it's necessary because we've got this this mist in the air. It's acting as kind of a natural diffuser, so actually I think the lighting is working okay without needing any kind of artificial lighting to enhance it at all. So I've got the Sigma 105mm macro on. There's a few mushrooms here clinging to this trunk here, but there's the odd little one as well, which are looking a little bit scraggly, but I quite like that in a way. It sort of creates a bit of character. So yeah, I'm just going to spend a few minutes just playing with the macro lens, and we'll see if we get some nice shots from it. So I'm really pleased that I decided to bring the macro lens this morning. This one tree has been yielding so much. Like when I was walking past it, I just saw that one mushroom and I thought, oh, there's a mushroom. I haven't seen a mushroom for a while. Maybe I should go and see if I can make a shot out of it. I haven't even got round to photographing that mushroom yet because I keep finding other stuff to photograph. I think this is one of the things I love about macro photography, is once you get into it, you can just while away so much time just taking images of just little things that you see that catch your eye. So I've taken some images of some bark. There are these nice sort of gnarly bits in the bark which I've taken an image of. There's also these lovely kind of orange fungi which are sitting on the green moss, so I like that colour contrast. You've got orange and green. It's just beautiful. But my favourite subject so far is this tiny little mushroom which is just perched on this little twig. So this twig is just sort of coming down. I think it's even just this kind of dead bit of twig, and this little tiny mushroom is just perched on it, and it's such an interesting little, cute little fella. I don't know if you can call mushrooms cute, but I've just called this mushroom cute. I think it's cute. And I like the fact that in the background as well there's this moss, so you've got this kind of green moss which I'm trying to keep out of focus in the image. Yeah, just so much fun. I'm really lucky that this mist is hanging around, because at the moment I've sort of discarded taking photographs of the mist and the trees in favour of just playing around with a macro lens, and it's so much fun. So I managed to drag myself away from that tree, and I decided it was probably a good idea to take the macro lens off the camera, because I could probably easily have spent another good couple of hours just messing around with it. So I want to try and take advantage of this mist. I know I photograph these woods a lot, but actually the good thing about that is I know where to come in these woods. It's just a small patch of woodland, and I know the sort of the little areas where I can get shots which I'm pleased with. The mist is just gorgeous this morning. It's absolutely stunning. It's perfect conditions. I could have done with getting down here maybe a little bit earlier in the autumn and in such good conditions, but even so, there's just a few leaves just clinging to some of these trees still, so I think it's making for some nice images. And I've actually come back to this spot here, and I'm taking a photo which I did try to take in the autumn. Actually in a little bit of mist. I don't think it came out too well, because the bracken was just looking a little bit too scruffy at that time. Now it's actually, strangely enough, now the bracken's died down a little bit, it's actually cleared out a little bit as well. So I think it works a little bit better than it did a few weeks ago. So I'm taking this shot again. It's a shot I've taken quite a few times at this location. And my favourite tree as well is over there, so I'll go and photograph that in a minute too. You would have seen me photograph that tree quite a few times. But I just love coming down here and taking these images. It's such a gorgeous spot. And I think this image is working really well today as well. The mist is just adding so much atmosphere. And there's still a tree sort of back in the scene towards the back, which has still got some nice orange leaves on it too, so hopefully with the polarizer I can just bring out those colours a little bit more and just make that tree stand out. But my word, what a morning. The other thing which I'm doing at this spot is I've turned the camera into portrait mode, and one of the things which I found works quite nicely for woodland photography is just taking little vignettes, and certainly I like to zoom in on some of these areas, some of these branches with a few leaves still clinging to them, and just taking a few, I call them little vignettes. I intend to have them as little square crop images, and quite often they work well as a triptych. I did that before earlier in the year when I was photographing the old oak here, and yeah, I think it works really well. So I've got the camera in portrait orientation. I'm going to have that lens zoomed out a little bit, so it'll be probably right out at its 105mm maximum, and I'll just take a few intimate little shots. I do actually have the 400mm lens with me today, so we'll see whether I decide to get that out. I might not. I think the 105 is probably going to be enough, but at least I've got options. So I've managed to completely lose track of time this morning. I've spent hours down here just in this one little spot taking photographs, but it's been so enjoyable, and it was great to get the macro lens out as well. Every time I do that, I keep saying on this channel that we're going to be doing more macro videos, and to be honest, it's been a little while since the last time I did macro photography, but it's so enjoyable. I really do love it. So once again, I'm going to say it again, we'll be doing more macro videos on this channel in the future. But anyway, I've enjoyed myself. It's time, I think, to get home, and thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.